So
good. All right. What's going on, Super Truckers? Thanks for tuning in to the Super Trucker Podcast, live every Thursday. We appreciate you guys. So happy Thursday. Going to start off the top. Don't forget to make sure you check in the comments, especially if you're watching on a cell phone. It doesn't always show the comments, the live comments, that is. We will be posting this week's current rates, not last week's. This is current rates from Monday through Thursday up until the filming of this live podcast. So make sure you check those out. Again, they're just trying to give you a opportunity to put your finger on the pulse of the market, find out what's hot, what's not, learn from our mistakes. As far as learning from our mistakes, we're going to start sharing with you a little bit of our weekly wins and weekly struggles, things that we went through, things that we, that we have found difficulty with sometimes. And by sharing that and being transparent, hopefully you can learn from that. And if you can learn from others' mistakes, why not? Or experiences, should I say, because not all of them are mistakes. So here we go with a few exciting things that happened this week here at Voyager. Pretty sure not only we're not the only carrier that suffers from some of these things or experience these things. So with that being said, Mr. Christian, what you got for us, brother?
First, honorable mention, if you will. We've all been there, recovery of trailer. So that's right, ladies and gentlemen. This week we had to go recover a trailer up in Chicago. Got a wonderful driver to take it on the chin and get up there and do it for us. We advise them take your winter jacket because it's not as warm as Florida up there. But nevertheless, getting the guy up there power only to try to make things happen. That's kind of where it leads to the next question. Power only. Power only. What do you guys think about power only?
it's better than nothing. That helps to get to places, but it's pretty complicated.
Yeah, it can be a struggle. We've talked about this between the two of us many a times. You get lucky sometimes and you found that true power only load. Boom, there you go. Where we seem to find a little bit more success is getting as close as we can with a loadout trailer. So we have some connections who will have different types of trailers that need to get to other locations throughout the country. And if there's a way that we can get one of those loadout trailers, we can actually then at that point haul any load. You know what I mean? So then we're not struggling with that internal struggle of finding that power only that's getting as close to it. Again, it needs to work with that loadout trailer being close to where you're trying to get to. In this case, we got within 50 miles. So for us, it was a win. We loaded 50 miles from the yard. We're delivering 50 yards from where the trailer is. We can do any load for 5 to 7 days in between that. So the driver feels no pain. As always, we appreciate him doing that anyways, but, it's the way we try to make it as little to no stress on a driver at all. So he really knows any different. He just went and picked up a trailer. He's going to load it and hit the road.
But I think there's a major distinction between power only to be some fill-in work or 100% all the time power only. Can you be successful at that?
Absolutely. No, I'm not saying absolutely you can be successful at that. I'm saying absolutely. There's definitely a big distinction between the two. I wouldn't want to put all my eggs in that basket of being a power only company. I know of some. I actually just spoke to a driver today who works for one, and they do everything from hauling a travel trailer, so somebody whatever they need, pulling this, that, carnival stuff, reefer, flatbed. But again, man, that's a rough place to be for me. But that's, again, everybody's opinion.
I think it's a very opportunistic market. Sometimes you can, win the lottery, and sometimes you can struggle a lot. And the biggest challenge is because it will happen 50-50. It will happen in a very big jumps up and down. It will add a lot of confusion to the business because one time you may get lucky because you're pulling that trailer that's already in distress somewhere and somebody is ready to throw whatever amount of money it's necessary to get it somewhere.
Your expectations for the next one.
And then your expectations goes in and you can get really, really stuck. Another challenge is you never know what kind of equipment you're going to pick up. A lot of companies, let's say we buy some pretty beat up post-accident trailers in the insurance auctions, and then we would just post it as a power only load, and unless the dispatcher who is looking for that freight knows what he's doing, he may send you to that insurance auction, and that trailer is a disaster to the company and to the driver and to the whole situation. So it's kind of, if you like the lottery, power only is good for you.
I like to win the lottery. Is that kind
win the lottery? So who's responsible for that? Let's touch on that just to kind of clarify to somebody that may not know. If you are that guy and you're picking up another company's trailer, what responsibilities falling on that company that's actually hauling that trailer? far as DOT
All of
requirements.
them,
Meaning,
all of them, just as much as hauling your own
Your own
trailer,
trailer.
and whose responsibilities it is in the circle of players. First of all, I say the company who is trying to ship the trailer, we're just gonna BS you all the way until that trailer gonna get there. Plus, we may have been BS themselves, so we don't exactly know what condition the trailer is in.
that's a good point. Yeah.
And then other important things is the dispatcher of the driver who is actually going to get that trailer needs to do all the homework, needs to talk to all the people who saw that trailer. What's the deal? Just use the common sense. If it's coming
Yeah.
from a wrecker
Yeah.
place, you might want to call them and make sure you can get some pictures.
And that's a
before
good
you
that's a
send
good
it.
point. And we try here. We try to in these situations. Scott did say, "Hey, I think I know that guy." You might, Scott. You might have met him once or twice. So I don't know, buddy.
I don't think you like him, man.
Yeah, but good point on that, Mike. Because the reason I brought that up is we have seen that kind of situation where someone was trying to get us to pick up a trailer and it was a little shoddy, and we kind of just backed off. So as much as we can, if this ever does happen, we stick with companies that we've worked with that kind of just basically have trailers that are on the road every single day. They're just trying to get them back to a location, like UPS trailers, stuff like that. And then in that, they actually give you a check sheet for that trailer, and then you have to log everything, and then you got to send it to them before it's okay to move forward. So
Yeah,
you
so
know
a
that
lot of-
helps. You're doing your pre-trip
Yeah,
on
the,
it, and
the
yeah.
only problem with that, you will not get rich fast off that. That's,
No,
that's
not
very
if that was
standard,
your-
simple, smooth procedure.
Right,
if,
right.
if you want to play the lottery and you want to be
Absolutely, yeah.
basing your business on the distress situation, you be prepared to
take
deal
what comes
with
along.
distress.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I
There's
want
a reason for
if
that,
anybody out there does power only, hit us up on the comments. What do your deadhead miles look like at the end of the week? Because
Well,
I wonder
can
about
actually
that.
elaborate on that. If you're doing the deadhead, I mean the power only stuff, the deadhead miles really don't matter, man. Because sometimes it's worth to literally deadhead 1,000 miles and move that little generator trailer from one construction site to another
Yeah.
for 200 miles, and it will pay it all. But again, that's a very opportunistic situation because you have to be very, very lucky. Everything has to be really, really perfect. And if you're basing your business on that, it's probably not going to happen every day or not even every week. And then
Sounds like you're also going to have to be either yourself or your dispatcher is going to have to be extremely aggressive to find those opportunities like you're talking about.
absolutely. And those opportunities has to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's the one thing we
How often
struggle
are you
with.
moving a generator
I will
around?
say with power only, a lot of times you're real power only. Like today, we were looking for one actually, and I could find loadout trailers no problem. But looking for a true power only to even get close within
To
500 or
actually
600
make
miles.
money off this?
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I mean, like it was one. There was a team load, and like I mean, obviously that was something that needed to be recovered.
Yeah,
like
so
you said, an opportunity.
In,
yeah.
in reality, you will most of the time be doing loadout trailers.
Yeah.
But sometimes you will get this, haul of gold bricks, and then you're gonna be struggling for the rest of your life.
All right. Well,
Cool. All right. Well, cool question, man. Yeah. So that's what we did. I don't consider that a loss. I consider that a win by participating in the loadout trailer. However, if that wasn't an option and we had to stick with only true power only, might have been a different story. So you decide on that.
but I'm
What's
still
best for you?
curious to see. Maybe we'll bring it up live next time. See what that what that week looks like for the driver.
Yeah, absolutely.
With loadout. So we'll follow up with that. Another event, ladies and gentlemen. Failure to check your bill of ladings and being diligent about that. Stop offs, getting stuck with overages on your trailer.
So
that was a big one for us. We got through it,
yeah.
but a little bit big.
Yeah, because again, this is something that falls back on the choices that we make, all of us. It doesn't matter if we're talking about drivers, companies, dispatchers, whatever it may be. The ones that hurt the most are the ones that are self-inflicted or the ones that are somewhat avoidable. And I would say this one was, at the end, it kind of was a win, but it was definitely avoidable because it created a lot of turmoil and a lot of distress in a situation that didn't have to be there. So basically, you had multiple stops. Guy went to make his first delivery. Everything is good. Goes on to the next delivery. Makes the drop. They mark the bill short, a whole pallet. I don't know the situation, the reasons, the why, and the how, but apparently somehow he missed that, and he told no one. He drives in about 6 hours to the last final stop for the next day. Gets there. It's a weekend. It's a Saturday. And they're all done loading, and they go, hey, there's an extra pallet on your truck. It's not mine. I'm not taking it, because once you put it on my dock and I keep it, I own it, so I have no interest in that product. It doesn't go to me. And the driver's like, well, what do you want me to do with it? He goes, I suggest you turn around and take it back the 300-something miles where you came from. And the guy's like, I can't. I'm not doing that. I got to load. I got to go pick up now.
Yeah.
Long story short, driver's upset, irate. Once we dig a little deeper, it's the writing's on the wall. It was on the bill that it was short, clear as day. You can see it. I don't know how he missed it, other than just, again, guys, pay attention. We say these things for a reason. They could put something on your truck that you're not supposed to haul. They could put overage. Any type of OS&D needs to be looked at, and your company needs to be notified right away. Had he notified us right away of that, do I know what the situation would have been any different? I don't know, but we would have been able to start the process on our end a lot quicker. Instead, we find a day late. That place is closed. There's no one can help us get to a crossdock. That company won't take it, and so we wind up setting till Monday.
So it went from bad to worse.
It went
pretty quick.
Now, again, here at our company, again, this is not a selling point all the time. We're not trying to broadcast ourselves, but here at our company, we never gave up. So Saturday comes, Sunday comes, we're on the phone constantly. We're trying to figure this out. We're fighting for money for the time lost. Your general layover is $150, $250. They're trying to throw that at us, and we're like, no, man, it's a weekend. This isn't our fault. This is what you've caused. We're trying to find a place that we can take this stuff. So at the end of the day, we also are on the phone with the reload. We convinced the reload to wait for us till Monday. We find the crossdock. They accept it. The company handles all that. No charge to us. And we wind up getting $400 a day for the guy. So what turned out to be, again, you've said it a million times, the caliber of work that we try to put forth is not based upon, I'm not going to look at it and say, hey, that guy didn't read his bill, shame on him. I'm going to fight because of who we are and who we are as a company and what we're passionate about. And yes, one could argue that, hey, he created that situation, but at the end of the day, we're there to walk him through it, even though he wasn't happy. And that wasn't the time to be like, hey, man, it is what it is. So Mike's smiling. So that means he wants to say something.
No, I'm just passionately listening.
So even though the guy created his own problem, we solved it to the best of our ability because that's who we are. At the end of the day, hopefully he learns his lesson and moves on to the next load and bigger and better things. So I say we turned that one into a win, regardless if it was deserved or not. You know what I mean?
And next topic, basically what we're doing here was just kind of highlighting a couple items that may have happened through the week, some bigger than others, but nevertheless, all of them being important. One of them here is current, sometimes we take for granted because we got guys that have been in the game for a long time, 20, 15, 20 years in the business. But a lot of them have come from company driver to owner-operator. So sometimes, we say it all the time, you don't know what you don't know. And this one is about driver truck file maintenance. So handing in your monthly maintenance report in a timely fashion and why that's important. So it's not just because somebody wants to see your receipts and take that from you. It's actually a mandate by DOT. Remember, there's a lot of things that go on out there when you have to be DOT compliant. It's not just about hours of service. It's not just about accident frequency. A lot of things also have to do with the in-house operations, in the back office.
Can you explain that, though, like in a little more detail? Because we do have guys who are like, it's, in their mindset is, it's my truck, it's my business, I'm the one paying for it, so why do you need to know about it, and why do you need your copies of your receipt? Can you kind of talk to that kind of guy right there?
Yeah, absolutely. So basically, DOT regulates the carrier to maintain these files, and in that, every month there should be maintenance files with receipts in there, because remember, if there's no receipt, it didn't happen. So we're not looking for the value of the receipt. You can cross out the price. It's not for tax purposes. I've heard that once before. It's really just about being organized, and if DOT came in the building, you have something to furnish them to say, hey, look, here's what the individual did in January, here's what the individual did in February, and so forth, with a nice little cover sheet. Now remember, you can buy the parts on the 11th of the month and did the work over the weekend. The date doesn't matter so much. You don't have to buy the part on the day you're doing the work. That's just overcomplicating it. Really, what you're doing is handing in all the receipts you did for that month, along with a cover sheet if you can, listing what kind of work you did. Now, there might be months that you have nothing, and that does happen out there. In those months, it's going to be just handing in the cover sheet and non-applicable, no maintenance done this month. That's fine. It just can't snowball into 6 months of no maintenance.
How did you do it, Mike? I mean, you spent quite a bit of time on the road with some experience.
Well, it only really depended on the company that I was with at that time.
What their requirements?
If I would require it, I would get it done, and if we wouldn't require it, I would just do my own thing. But again, back then I knew what I knew, and now I know what I know now, and it's two different things. So what I can only add to it, besides the fact that DOT regulates that, and now we need all that stuff to please the DOT. It's not really just that. We as a business, and the owner operator is also as a business unit, and we have this partnership with owner operator where we pretty much all the time building a defense case. When you drive a big truck out there, anything can happen. You know, the Mothers Demand Action and all these other movements are all over the trucking industry, and just looking to chew you alive. So every time when you hand those receipts, the company, you know, from like normal human perspective, it's easy. We can come out, we can check out the truck, and if it looks good, it looks good. You know, we've been in business long enough. We know what to look for. But that's not good enough when it comes down to lawsuits and other big life-changing events. So I would suggest to all the drivers, again, I was never told that when I was a driver. I only did it because they asked me to do that, or I didn't do it because we didn't. But I would suggest everyone to really look serious into that thing, because one little thing gonna go wrong, and all that information is not, by that information not being there, your life can change significantly. And also pay attention to the company that you really, you know, run for. If the company is not asking for it,
Where are they getting it from?
You have two options. Option number one, we have no clue. We don't know what's up. We know how to book freight maybe, and you know, this is how we see the trucking business. But if we're not asking you, we're either clueless or careless. Pick one.
So by wearing the two different hats now, you definitely have a better understanding of how important it is.
Yeah, because all those big events, you know, when we talk about Moms Demand Action and now this lawsuit because this car ran into this truck or this truck ran into this car, and it's not about justice. Trust me, it's not about justice. And it's so much closer when you think. When you see this some article on Truck Paper or somewhere online or Facebook, it seems like that guy somewhere in California.
Not me. Yeah.
10 years ago.
Yeah.
Nah,
that doesn't happen anymore.
Never gonna happen to me. Man, you try that. A drunk person will run under your truck while you in any kind of violation. Your life will be miserable. And, you know, by company trying to get all that stuff and trying to keep those files in order, we literally, I know, we bug you, and you maybe sometimes pissed, and you just feel that why are we even asking for it?
Yeah.
We really
Yep.
trying to protect you through protecting themselves, and it's nothing but partnership. And is it difficult to understand? I don't know. A lot of times we get a lot of pressure from the drivers on this subject. It's always why, and we always know it all. But I would suggest, you know, at least do the homework. Ask why.
But that's a good point, though.
Just
I
ask
mean,
why.
With what you're sharing, that's why I'm glad you shared that, because I can imagine being an owner operator and having you ask for something that's my responsibility, everything got to do with me. But when you explain it like that and you go in a little bit more deeper detail, then I think it really answers the question of why. And then you're telling them it's a partnership. Hey, man, this isn't just for me. This is for us. You know, and so I like that. So cool. Yeah, and then you were talking about there's Christian. That's not all. It doesn't stop there at the maintenance logs. There's so much more that goes into it.
Yeah, there's so much more that goes into it. Compliance and the driver qualification file. So much that goes into vetting that, especially when individuals hire you on a fast track pace, and we're waiting on verifications. And I won't bore everybody with all those details in there because that laundry list is so long. But at the end of the day, all those small things matter. So again, even for us, it's important. We just added to the family. We hired an application processor to assist with a lot of those things that are going on because it is that important.
So you want to make sure you have your ducks in a row.
Yeah.
And people that have, like Mike said earlier, the people that have the attitude that, hey, it's never going to happen to me, or it doesn't matter until it matters. Well, when it does matter and you're not prepared, guess what? It's too late.
So you have to make that investment, people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Another small topic, loss of a fuel card. Guys, we had a guy lose a fuel card out there. I know this doesn't sound too much of a big of a deal. However, it's important to communicate that right away because you have to be diligent, man. There's guys out there that, everything's for sale, and if they go swipe happy with your card, man, you're going to have a nice little tab at the end of the week.
And you fueled up 5 times today.
The biggest, there is two things that comes down to the lost fuel card. One thing is very easy and very easily solved. That's pretty much if you notice that, let the company know right away. We can shut down the cards. We can give you different numbers, and
we have ways around it for sure.
Yeah, you can continue fueling, and nothing really stops. However, don't forget. I don't know about no big trucking companies, but any small to average mid-sized trucking company, the fuel card is not your credit card. Fuel card is a hard cash money paid up front, just sitting there on that account. So if somebody finds that card and it wasn't shut down, especially I see a lot of times the drivers, like some fuel cards, the company would set up, enter truck number, enter trip number, enter driver ID. And some drivers, we keep that fuel card together
with that information.
With all that information.
So they don't forget, and the guy that finds it's like,
and now, if you lose it and it takes you a while to figure this out, anybody who can find it will be using that card to the maximum extent of whatever the company's settings allow them. And again, you cannot cancel it, you cannot undo it, you cannot change anything. It's all lands as your transactions because again, it is not protected by certain credit card agreements. It's a hard cash card. That's what it is.
Okay, so there isn't a protection in place for something like that. So it's automatically just
letting people know.
Yeah, because we even had a situation not too long ago where,
which is easy enough. Like, guys, don't not let somebody know because you're afraid to be like, hey, I lost the fuel card. I mean, like,
our boys did the right thing. They let us know immediately.
The card cost nothing.
Yeah, we can get one of those a whole lot easier. Please. And that's not just for us. That's for any of the other companies out there. Let them know right away. They'd much rather hear, hey, man, sorry, made a mistake, lost this, left it somewhere. Boom, let them shut it off, because if it's in the situation where it is that straight hard cash right away, just waiting to be taken, somebody's gonna find it, and in this day and age, they're gonna take advantage of the situation.
They're gonna be paying for their fuel.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, boys. They did the right thing. We were able to avoid major issues.
Well, we know we can check that one off as a win.
Well, the last topic of the day is changing bank accounts and what challenges it brings to the owner-operator or new owner-operator, or when you're getting set up with a company, when you leasing on, and we offer what's it called,
direct deposit.
Sorry,
my microphone.
Yeah, it's the mic.
It needs to be replaced soon.
Scott said now we have everybody checking their wallet right now. He said everybody's like, wait a minute, where's my cards?
All 6 people.
Yeah.
So
right.
What's up with that?
Bank card. All right. So just in this last quarter, I mean, it's not even just this week. In this last quarter, I've seen a few situations come up. We'll kind of take it to the beginning. Some guys that are onboarding with the new company, somebody told them about, hey, you should be paid as a LLC or as a corporation. The individual gets excited, gets his SS4 form or gets his tax ID number under that. But that's not just that alone doesn't mean you are a true LLC or a true corporation. But they may not know that because nobody explained it. So then they line up with the company. They set up the direct deposit. They go to the bank, and the bank says, "Hold up," because you have to have requirements in order to have a business checking account. Where are the articles of formation, whether you're a corporation or the LLC? So the bank is going to give you a list of what you need in order to open up that bank account. So let's say the situation is this. The individual's onboarded with you. He has 1 or 2 deposits already. He's really good. Then he's like, you know what? I'm having kind of issues with my bank account, whether, let's call a spade, whether it's child support, whether it's this, whether it's that. They cancel their current bank account and they're going to open up a new one, and they give you the new one. And now all of a sudden when you try to get that direct deposit, it's going to go into no man's land because they found out they couldn't open up a new bank account because they didn't have the requirements to do so. But because the old bank account is already closed and the direct deposit was sent, your carrier did their due diligence to send the money, but now when it tries to land in a closed account, it's gonna sit like in limbo in no man's land. The money's out of the carrier's account, but it's not quite in yours, and now there's gonna be some period of transaction of when that comes back.
Yeah, it creates a huge delay. Yeah.
That comes back.
And then naturally, as humans, we want to blame everybody but ourselves. And that becomes an issue too. The company this, the company that. When come on, man, we didn't.
So the best way to do it, ladies and gentlemen, I would say do not cancel that bank account just yet. Please allocate at least a week or a 2-week window for this transaction to happen. You never know at what time you're catching payroll and submitting that information. Are they just closing it out? Do they have some time? So allow yourself 1 to 2 weeks. Don't close that account, so you make sure you have access to your money.
Yeah, would you say maybe good idea just wait till you have that first clean deposit in, and then at that point, right? Pretty good.
Yeah, because then at least that way you'll know it can land in either one.
Also, don't forget one thing. A lot of times people, all that is coming together. You buy a truck, you start an LLC, you've been using your personal bank account all your life. Now you're running to the bank, you're opening a bank account under that LLC. It's been 15 years since you opened your personal bank account. So now your bank account, your personal bank account, acts like a grandfather account, which is very old, recognized by the bank. So very different limitations than your new LLC. And I literally went through this just not too long ago, probably less than a year. We've been banking with Chase forever. So I didn't even know. I forgot what it means to have a brand spanking new bank account. And we opened up another account with a different bank for a certain business. And our first payment bounced.
Nice.
And we ran to the bank, like, what happened? We just deposited the money. And the person in the bank also not very helpful, not very understanding of the situation. She says, there is a problem, it was marked for potential fraud. In reality, it was had nothing to do with potential fraud. It had nothing to do with transactions not going through. It was simple limitations to the new bank account.
Yeah.
So the money came in, and we thought just like another day at Chase, we're just gonna pay that payment.
Yeah.
So we do the payment, and the payment bounced. Now we got stuck with that situation.
It's a good point. Yeah.
And we're running in the circles, solving unexisting problems, when the real problems is this new account type has limitations for a certain period of time.
You just assumed it was like everybody else.
Because that's one of our guys. That's the suffrage where I think it's $500 limit that you can have $5,000 in the account, but if that limitation is $500 a day spending, and one good breakdown, you're in there.
Scott asking.
Huh?
Scott asked you a question. I don't know, but I don't know if you.
What is for my previous statement? What's the previous statement?
Oh, okay. He says use different banks. Don't go down the road of commingling funds. I think that's what you were. Or blame it on Ralph. I mean, generally when anything goes wrong in my life, I blame it on Ralph. But outside of that, I don't think Mike does that. So he wants to know how you feel about commingling.
Sometimes it's just easier to have different accounts for different.
But like you just said,
the business.
Something I experienced. I had one bank that I banked with for years. The company that I was working for, they had a different bank, and so like, hey, if you want direct deposit, you need to get this bank, open an account. I went down and deposited cash. Where our bank at, if you put cash in, it's allowed right away, like it's instantaneous. Yeah. They after like 2:00, it goes to the next day, and I had no clue, and I tried to do what you said, make a payment on something, and boom, and I'm like, whoa, what? And then they charged me a overdraft fee on the account because I just opened the account, and I'm like, wait, I'm putting money in, I'm just trying to use this, and I had no clue. And they're like, well, anything after 2:00 at our bank is considered next day transaction. I'm like, but it's cash. It's cash. It's there. You have it. This is not. She's like, sorry. So again, you just need to understand what are the regulations. That's just on a personal account.
And look, in general terms, most of the time, if you deposit the check in your bank account, that's like 2 days, maybe 3 tops.
Yeah.
And then you deposit the check from your own bank account that you know there is the money there into your brand new bank account.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'll give you like 2-3 days for that to clear, and then 5 days later you like send the payment and try again.
Yeah. So Scott said different banks for personal and for business. Ralph said, like you said, it's always easier for us to blame problems on other people.
No, personal and business, always keep it separated, because even, let me get back just for a second to the legal issues. If something goes wrong, and in trucking a lot of things can go wrong, you want to have your business, no matter if it's a small owner-operator business, and your personal separated. Because ending up on the street is not the reason why you bought a truck.
Absolutely. That's a good golden nugget right there. Keep that stuff separate, because somebody will be coming, and when they come, they're going to try to get all that they can.
Absolutely.
And if they're tied together, buddy, it's kind of hard to separate it then. Too late. Can't separate it after it's too late. So, good point. Always a good point.
Play smart, not hard.
Yeah. Protect yourself. I mean, that's it. Again, do what's right always, but protect yourself, because there's going to be people that are going to try to exploit you and exploit any opportunity that they can. And those types of people will exploit what you're talking about right there if it's not separate. So, they will go after everything.
All right, so those were some of the challenges we faced this week, some bigger than others, obviously, but nevertheless, those are things that came across the table, and I'm sure we're not the only ones.
I'm sure there's guys in the room right now watching that's had some experiences throughout this week that they could either connect on certain levels or could enlighten us on some things, because we're willing to learn from other people's experiences as we learn from ours, and we hope that you learn from ours too. We hope that these rates have helped. Again, they were still posting the rates from this week, no particular order. Things are just popping, the good, the bad, wherever we're at, but it just gives you an up-to-date on what dry vans, not reefer, not flatbed, dry vans are doing right now across the states. And that some are going to be in the west, some are going to be in the northeast, some will be coming out of Florida. So kind of gives you a good...
By the way, this information is actually more current than DAT data.
Yes, because DAT data is a 15-day average from the past, and trucking, man, let me tell you something. Just to share a quick story on what he just said. We were in an area the other day, Esteban. He's actually the guy doing the posting right now. Thanks, Esteban. We appreciate that. Shout out to you, sir. But he was in an area, and he's looking at the DAT average, the spot freight. And he's like, okay, the spot market says it should be, and I'm just making up a number, I can't remember, $1,000. So, of course, if he's on the phone, he's negotiating, and he gets close to that or more than that, he feels like he got a good deal. But I keep always preaching, post your trucks, post your trucks, post your trucks. I don't care how good of a dispatcher you are, post your trucks, okay? All of a sudden the phone starts ringing. Calling about this truck. Oh, calling about this truck. Oh, calling about this truck. I'm like, brother, stop right there. Don't worry about what that spot market says. I was like, that means money, baby. When they're calling you, it means money. So in that process, that 15-day-old average was not talking about what's happening today. I don't care what happened 15 days ago. I'm talking about what happens right now. How do I know what's hot and what's not unless I've got my finger on the pulse of the market and I can tell you, yep, it's alive here or it's dead here. And that's exactly what we do. And I think that's exactly what these rates are showing you. They are what they are. Because we can get somewhere that, according to DAT, said, go over here, baby, it's really good. And you get there, and you hear the crickets.
That was about a week ago.
Yeah, it was good. It was good then.
And to answer Scott's comment on the rates about that coronavirus issue,
Wash your hands, buddy.
It's kind of like I feel it's kind of like power only freight. It's hit or miss. There is a one scenario that it can be really, really, really good if it goes away without stopping the businesses and industries. Then I think we'll learn all that lesson from China. I think we will be dragging a lot of business back to North America. Doesn't matter if it's gonna be in Mexico. It's still gonna be around here.
Well, they're gonna be paying a lot of catch up too.
It will be a home run, and we can really, really take advantage of that, and this could be really, really good. However, my suggestion is, if you have a truck right now, just try to be on the road, because it's easy to talk about $100 when you have $100. But if everything would stop, and when I say everything, I'm not talking about, yes, people will have to eat, but just think about it. How much freight is just food? It's nothing. All the constructions, all the new projects, if everything gonna go to stand still, by the time this is over, I'm not even sure if you can move.
Yeah, that's something to think about. But if you can find yourself a toilet paper load right now,
you're good.
Yeah, I mean, because I need some.
By the way, I'm really curious if you guys can post in the comments below. What's up with the toilet paper?
What I've heard, what I've been
I think the
saying
symptom
is
gives you diarrhea.
Is that what it is?
And I also heard from on the TV that somebody was saying because it's white and fluffy, it gives you that feeling of well-being and shit. And I'm like, what kind of drugs are we smoking?
Who lays in their toilet paper? I mean, it's something. Somebody's getting a little confused on the whole purpose of toilet paper. But I've heard people saying it's so many people now are so afraid they're staying at home, and so they're stocking up, and they're just gonna get in the super trucker bunker here. Like us, we haven't left in days.
Yeah.
I mean,
how much?
I smelling around here a little
I haven't
bit.
been able to shave. I'm like, this is not good. But the toilet paper, we got that, so we feel light and fluffy.
But how much can you actually shit, man?
I mean, bro,
there's no food, but you got toilet paper.
I think the general public is this. Somebody said, "Oh my God! Did you see that on the Facebook? People were fighting over toilet paper. Everybody jumps and runs to buy toilet paper."
Yeah.
You know who posted that? Charmin. Charmin posted that. He's like, "Hey, let's create a toilet paper scare," and now. The toilet paper. They make toilet paper company.
Well, it's kind of hurricane season. Everybody, it's about to hit. Go buy milk and bread. Why bread? Who eats bread like that? Or even milk? If you got no power, what's the point? So who knows, man?
Buy a cow.
Buy a cow, a goat. It's good to go. Chickens.
Yeah.
Self-sustainability. Hey,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Toilet paper. As long as you got cows, chickens, and beef and toilet paper, you're good to go. You can live anywhere, man. I'm telling you right now. Toilet paper is great. Although I'll tell you, if you're starting a survival kit, because Scott says we're stockpiling. I get it. Good little food for thought. You know what makes great starter? Flint and a tampon. This is a golden nugget. If I have to explain to anybody what that is, I'm not going to. But anyways, it's good for two things. It's awesome for starting a fire. Okay. It's
and
also
a nosebleed.
Yeah. Yes. That's what I'm saying. A nosebleed, or if you got shot. It's you can actually put it in and help stop. It's something I have a
just
book.
use a finger, you're gonna be like, where's my nose
for the original purpose or not? I'm bleeding. Oh, and I'm shot. 10 times beef jerky. Scott said beef jerky. Hey, by the way, Scott's going to be opening up a second company, which he's going to open a new bank account for at a different bank because he took our advice. It's going to be Scott's Beef Jerky. He's naming it Beef Stroke It Off. So he told me this already. He told me the whole story. So guys, I want to give it a shout out to Beef Stroke It Off. It's Scott's Jerky Company. It's really good, man. I swear to you. Like, he brought some jerky in.
Oh, you tasted it?
Yeah. Absolutely. I thought it was dog food at first because he had his dog with him and he's like, "Hey, you guys want a snack?" I was like, "Ah, funny." He goes, "No. I swear to you, try this. It's my secret special recipe." And then he's like, "What do you call a cow with no legs?" And Ralph said that and he said, "What? Ground beef?" And then he said something about what his company name was, and it's Beef Stroke It Off. So it's Scott's Beef Jerky.
Oh, hey.
So
Pretty cool.
kudos, Scott.
All right.
Keep making that jerky, baby. Ralph has a bunch of those. Tampons. All right. Anything else, boys? What you got?
That's
Nope.
all I have, man, for this week. But remember, we'll follow up next week with the journey of the individual with Power Only, and we'll see how his week ends. So that's something to look forward to and see how productive that
Absolutely,
can
and
be.
we'll check in with the beef jerky company and let you know how that's going too.
Yeah, get your orders in.
And
Get your
where to
orders.
get it.
And where to find toilet paper. Those would be the next thing. So as always, guys, thanks a lot for tuning in to the Super Trucker Podcast. We really appreciate all that you do for us and watching your comments and everything else. So if you have more questions, leave them below. Also, don't forget, if you're watching this video on your phone, make sure you click on the live feed comments because that's where all the rates that we were talking about is going to be. If not, we'll catch you next Thursday at 2 p.m. Drive safe.
Keep on trucking.
Peace out.